As an experienced driver, you'll be used to feeling in control of the car. You'll now be sitting in the passenger seat alongside a driver who has very little driving experience. You may feel a need to control the car by controlling the driver. That can be a recipe for trouble and does not help your client learn to take responsibility for their own safety. Explain that your role is that of a co-driver, and although you will be looking around and behind to check for hazards, your intent is not to be controlling. A supervisor's instinct to teach and control is natural and understandable, but how much control will you have when your client begins P-plate driving? Why not put effort into preparing for this by exploring the current situation? Ask your client what they want to do or feel they need to do. If this is different than what you think is best, discuss the possibility of a compromise, rather than saying, "You must do it my way," or "You must do as I say." Move to a situation where you can agree on a shared outcome and respect each other's needs. A client's driving should never be out of control, so help them find their own way gradually. If they want to immediately take full control of where they go and what they do, use questions to keep their determination in check. Try these types of questions. If we do that, what do you think could happen? Or, how do you think you'll go at that? If you're still worried, you could say, "That might make me feel uneasy. How could we compromise?" You can expect several false starts. For some, being told what to do may be the most appropriate approach in the beginning. The more clients see themselves as learners, the more they're likely to listen to you and appreciate guidance. Keep the progress slow and spend time perfecting each task. Make that task more challenging rather than rushing onto something different. You could make suggestions such as, "While you do this task, explain to me what's happening in the situation around us." Or, "How about we try it in a different situation and see how you go?" Your client's confidence may develop into overconfidence. They could soon believe they have greater control over the car and their safety than they actually do. You can keep this in check by phasing out praise for their car control skills and replace this with praise for safe driving. You could also use questions such as, "Thanks for slowing down there. Why did you choose to?" Or, "Why did you seem surprised back there? What could have happened?" Regardless of your client's skill, ultimately you should be in control. As a mentor, you should drive the car in your mind from the passenger seat. Look well ahead and use your experience to warn the client of dangers you think they've not yet recognised. Remaining calm is essential. Build enough time into the driving exercises so you don't feel rushed, and slow down your conversation, your instructions, and the car's speed. You can pause in a safe place and prepare for potentially challenging exercises, discussing how to manage confusion and surprises. Take a break if the situation becomes stressful and ensure your client manages their breathing. When clients concentrate 100% on a task, they may hold their breath. Pay attention to how they breathe and talk. If either speeds up a lot or stops, it may be time for a break. Take a break if the situation becomes stressful and ensure your client manages their breathing. When clients concentrate 100% on a task, they may hold their breath. Pay attention to how they breathe and talk. If either speeds up a lot or stops, it may be time for a break. A lack of knowledge can also trigger stress, and this applies to you and your client. If you don't know the solution to a problem, say so and show a willingness to learn with your client. Good teachers will always do this. Agree to respect each other's comfort zone. Tell each other what will help you stay in it and what makes you leave it. To do this, use "when you, I feel" messages. For example, when you drive really close to parked cars, I feel nervous. When you leave plenty of braking room, I feel safe. When you brake suddenly, I feel uneasy. Analyse the most basic of driving tasks, such as moving out from the side of the road or changing lanes, and you'll find they comprise many small parts. You probably find such tasks very easy and view them as one large, simple operation. Novice drivers don't. Learners have to consciously think through and apply in sequence all the small parts of a task. They can get easily confused, and the slightest extra load, such as the need to make another decision, can cause them to feel overwhelmed. When this happens, the situation will become a blur and their driving may be clumsy and possibly unsafe. You should aim to avoid unhelpful confusion or surprises. They can affect safety and cause a client to doubt their ability. If this happens, you should question how you might have contributed to the confusion. You're both learning, so you both need feedback. If you've never supervised a learner before, then in some ways you're a learner too. Think this way and you'll probably question how you're going and want to find ways to improve. Small surprises are ever present when driving, and they can be extremely valuable. They let us know when our mind is wandering and when our eyes aren't looking in the right places, or when we're bending the rules. Without awareness of our errors, we become complacent and overconfident. As your client gains experience, they should gradually be making fewer big mistakes and be noticing more of their smaller mistakes. Surprises are a normal part of driving, and if they do occur, the client has a real-life experience to digest, work out possible ways it could have been prevented, and use it to connect with the seriousness of driving. If you take full responsibility for simplifying and teaching a task, you may leave little for your client to do. When a client has to take responsibility for working through a confusing situation, it will have greater meaning for them, and they're developing problem-solving skills along the way. Provided it's safe, invite your client to work out how to perform new tasks and manage new traffic situations on their own. They'll need to do this on P-plates, so let them try now while you're still supporting them. The current licensing methodology is all about long-term experience. Do a lot of driving and eventually basic driving skills will become automatic. Think of any endeavour: football, bowling, chess, piano or computer gaming. To be successful at such endeavours requires hundreds of hours of experience and many repetitions of correct technique. Driving is no different. As an experienced driver, you may have forgotten that driving a car in traffic was once a challenging task for you. The reason you've probably forgotten how hard it can be is that you've turned the many actions that comprise driving into thinking, feeling and doing habits. You've also learnt to interpret situations quickly and easily through being exposed to them many times. For you, driving has become automatic. Without thinking about it, you put a seatbelt on, move off and turn at intersections. At the same time, you can talk with passengers. When your driving became automatic, it provided you with spare attention. Safe drivers use their spare attention to assess and respond to the situation around them. Part of your role as a driving supervisor is to help your client repeat the correct driving actions over and over again until these skills become habits. You'll know you've succeeded when they drive competently, while at the same time breathe normally and can answer questions that require them to think. At this point, you could discuss ways they could use their spare attention. Long-term experience is only one dimension of learning to drive safely. If you drive for 1 hour along a stretch of road and do it 100 times, you've just had 100 hours of much the same experience. Drive 100 different roads each for 1 hour and you've had a much more diverse and beneficial experience. Gradually build these diverse experiences into your journey from the start and undertake driving that frequently includes exercises that are new or challenging. If your client goes mostly the same way and does much the same thing in every practice session, they will progressively find that driving becomes easier and easier, yet they've been told driving is a difficult, complex and potentially dangerous task. Finding something easy that you've been told is very hard can lead to overconfidence. Overconfident people are generally more accepting of risk or are partially blind to it. This is another reason to build more and more difference into practice sessions. If your client comes across new situations that they find difficult, it means their capabilities are being stretched. Within reason, this is beneficial. Your client is needing to work things out for themselves and solve problems. These are some of the thinking skills they'll need to anticipate and manage different driving situations when you're no longer sitting alongside them. Experience contributes to a deeper understanding of traffic situations, individual reactions, and the ability to manage problems. You encourage deep thinking when you help a person ask and find answers to what, why, and how type questions. Assist your client to learn to self-supervise, self-instruct, and self-assess. This may be hard to do because intuitively we want to tell a learner driver how to drive. Some questions you can encourage your client to ask of themselves might be: how do I feel and how is it affecting me? How well did I go and what are the reasons why? What am I doing particularly well and what mistakes am I making? How will I fix my mistakes? Research shows that first-year drivers are 3 times more likely to be involved in road crashes than more experienced drivers. If learner drivers undertake supervised driving practice during the learner phase, their risk of crashing in the first year of driving is dramatically reduced. New drivers spend a lot of time and attention on the physical skills required for driving, such as braking and steering, and forget about the other skills that are most important in terms of safety. Anticipation is one of these crucial skills. If you anticipate a situation, you can respond to it before it happens. If you see a bus pulling up in the distance and anticipate pedestrians will get out and try to cross the road, you respond by slowing down. When you notice the lights ahead have been green for a while and anticipate they will change before you get to them, you prepare to stop. Clients should be encouraged to practice the following skills. Scanning. Looking ahead to either side and using rear view mirrors to be able to see possible hazards. Head checks. This involves systematically looking over your shoulder to see if there are other road users in the blind spots. Judging gaps. Deciding if there's sufficient space and time to pass between travelling vehicles. Being aware of the driving environment. Awareness of the roadside that others may be using, such as footpaths, bicycle lanes, driveways and car parks. Discuss the frequent causes of crashes with your client. Most crashes involving novice drivers relate to the following issues: poor or insufficient scanning of the driving environment, incorrectly judging the gap in traffic, overconfidence in driving ability, speeding, reliance on other drivers to avoid a crash, insufficient space left between vehicles, relying on being technically right and not anticipating the poor habits of others, driver distraction, misjudging the required stopping distance or late braking, not doing enough mirror or head checks, indicating intentions late or not at all, fatigue. You can assist your client to reduce their likelihood of being involved in a crash by undertaking the following exercises. Practice maintaining a 3-second gap when travelling behind other vehicles. Have the client predict what a vehicle immediately in front may do. Build an awareness of blind spots. Have the learner sit in the driver's seat with mirrors positioned appropriately. Walk around the vehicle and, as the client follows you in the mirrors, have him or her tell you when you disappear from their vision. Continually remind the client to do head and mirror checks. Eventually, these will become automatic. Make sure driving practice sessions are not all undertaken in silence or without distractions. As the client becomes increasingly competent, introduce some extra tasks to manage. Then discuss the effects of these distractions. Remind the client that people generally drive where they look and that they need to generally keep their eyes ahead whilst frequently scanning the road to the sides. Take time to discuss the impacts of speeding with your client. The faster they travel, the less time they have to see hazards, assess risks and respond. Even though they may feel they're a capable driver, extra speed always means it takes longer for the vehicle to stop. Why do learner drivers speed? Young people often follow the example of adults that have driven them or follow the example of other vehicles. For a learner, it often feels like there are too many things to focus on and many different tasks to be done at the same time. While braking, steering, looking out for hazards and applying the road rules, learner drivers often don't notice the speed at which they're travelling. In addition, modern cars are built to be very comfortable. Good seats, a great sound system, air conditioning and limited external noise insulates the driver from the clues that indicate the car is going fast, such as vibration, the sound of the engine and wind noise. Challenge your client to estimate how fast they're travelling without looking at the speedometer. On the open highway, when they're travelling at 100 kilometres an hour and need to slow down to approach a built-up area, Ask them to slow until they think they've reached 60 kilometres an hour without looking at the speedometer. They should become more accurate over time. Supervised driving is a unique role in the development of safe young drivers and is crucial to the habits they will take into the future. Achieving a driver's licence can open up many opportunities, and your mentoring may have a lasting impact on the lives of these young people.